While we await word on Joey Aguilar's status for 2026, could Faizon Brandon actually be the biggest component to Tennessee's success next fall?
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into it. Your Friday morning Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys joining us here to make Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. Everydayers could not do this show without you. Check out the Everydayer Club, $5 a month. Ad-free audio version of the show, access to the Locked On merch store, access to the Locked On Vols Discord channel where we can chat back and forth in a group chat setting, all that and more. $5 a month, the Everydayer Club at lockedonvols.supercast.com. lockedonvols.supercast.com. Today's episode is presented by the great people over at Mazda. We put the same drive in every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, because there's more to a Mazda, just like there's more to you. Loads to get into here on today's show. You're going to chat with Noah Taylor of Neyland Press Court coming up later in the show on the VOLS Vols Letters at Neyland Stadium. It's a fan favorite. A lot of people love it. We'll get into that in segment number 3 for a little Flashback Friday. Post-transfer portal offensive depth chart. Going to take a look at the offensive depth chart and kind of what that looks like for the University of Tennessee. We did defense last week, and this week we'll do offense here, and I'll talk about kind of what that looks like after the transfer portal. But first, the most important freshman to Tennessee's chances in 2026. Who's got to step up? All that and more coming up right now. All right, so it's obviously there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Joey Aguilar's impending eligibility case, literally it's a case, sheds the most light on kind of what this offense could look like in 2026. I've said it the entire time. Tennessee can't assume. Tennessee can't wait for him. Tennessee can't bank on him being an option. You had to go about your business and kind of figure it out. Tennessee took some swings in the transfer portal, most notably Sam Leavitt. Did not win the Sam Leavitt sweepstakes, but decided to pass on Bo Pribula of Missouri. He's going to Virginia. And Tennessee decided just to kind of roll with the young guys, being George MacIntyre and Faizon Brandon. Now, we'll see what's in store for Joey Aguilar over the coming weeks, right? That preliminary injunction hearing is going to be February the 13th, a week from today. It's been reported. So we'll see what comes of that, and, of course, the decision following that in the days to weeks to follow, and then what the other side chooses to do in terms of an appeal. If it's not Joey Aguilar, obviously, it could be George MacIntyre being the biggest key to this Tennessee offense, but it also could be a freshman in Faizon Brandon. And that's kind of where we're going to start the conversation today when talking about the most important freshman on next year's roster for Tennessee that can make a difference. Quarterback position is the biggest difference maker on the field, for right or wrong. So if Faizon Brandon is Tennessee's quarterback next year, obviously he's going to be the freshman to watch in terms of game-changing ability. Faizon Brandon, anywhere you look at it, blue chipper, highly rated, 5-star prospect, 5-star in the Rivals industry rankings, 9th overall in the class, number 3 at his position, number 1 in the state of North Carolina. He was as high as number 3 according to 247, 14 ESPN. Again, a 5-star Rivals industry ranking for Faizon Brandon. He's got everything you want in the arsenal, right? He's got a strong arm, throws a beautiful ball down the field. He's tall. He comes in already a little bit bigger with some room to put on some weight to his frame, no doubt. He's super athletic. He battled through injury as a senior, came back the last game or two of the regular season, then had that playoff run and helped Grimsley go and win another state championship in North Carolina. He was phenomenal in that playoff run, and he was phenomenal as a junior. Go look up the stats. They're all Max Preps. Go look up his high school stats. Pretty impressive work, that being Faizon Brandon. So that's high school. That's obviously not the same playing the Southeastern Conference. There will be a learning curve. The ability to slow the game down, that just comes with reps, process the speed, make quick decisions, all that's going to come into reps. But in terms of throwing the football, accuracy, the ability to go do that, between the years, the knowledge of the offense, all that and more, I think Faizon Brandon exemplifies and carries a lot of that with him. And he could, if no Joey Aguilar, Faizon Brandon's going to give George MacIntyre all he can handle in a quarterback competition for sure. Still could be George. Not saying it can't be George, but if no Joey Aguilar, I'm really excited to see what this quarterback battle of two young guys looks like in the spring and in the fall camp. And reminder, even if Joey Aguilar is Tennessee's quarterback or is with Tennessee throughout this process, working through appeals and all that, he's likely not going to be a full participant all the way through spring. So you're still going to see, regardless, these two young guys go at it. But what about some other freshmen? If not Faizon Brandon making the biggest difference, who are some other freshmen that you should watch to make big-time impact for Tennessee next fall? Well, I think the first one that comes to mind is Tristen Keys. And that might just be because he's another 5-star in this class, right? Dynamic athlete, good frame, 6'2", about 200 pounds. He'll bulk up a little bit in the collegiate strength and conditioning program as well. Good explosion, good hands, good route runner. Tennessee has an open spot for a starter on the outside to take the place of Chris Brazzell, opposite of Mike Matthews, and of course Braylon Staley in the slot. Rodarius Jackson's going to step in and get the first opportunity there, at least it seems. Travis Smith also returns, but Tristen Keys, an opportunity. And does this mean Tennessee plays more than just 3 wide receivers? We'll see. Tristen Keys has got a whole lot of ability and really has really kind of come into his own in terms of being a leader in that recruiting class. Great relationship with Kelsey Pope, and he wants to be at Tennessee. And so I think Tristen Keys can obviously get on the field and make a difference. I don't know if he'll be starting, but I'm intrigued to see kind of what that rotation could look like at wide receiver. Some other guys that come to mind in terms of can make an immediate impact as freshmen, I go to the defensive line. I mean, Tennessee brought in a ton of guys on the defensive line and some really good ones. Carter Goodwin was a late commit to this class, top 100 player, defensive line, 6'4", about 270. You've got Jordan Carter, another late add to this class, a top 230 player, 6'3", 245, 250. Again, bigger defensive lineman, especially on the edge. That's kind of what Jim Knowles likes in this defense. Darion Albert's a longtime commit in this class, and I think that he has a chance to go out there and help. 6'1", 305. J.J. Finch already comes in as a bigger guy. He's in the 280s already, 6'3". There's another one that I'm going to highlight here. If I can. Oh, Darrell Rivers. Rivers, a longtime commit to this class. I think he's one of the more underrated guys in this cycle for Tennessee in the signing class. So that was a lot of defensive linemen. That wasn't all of them that I read out. C.J. Edwards, he was more of a Leo body that the previous coaching staff really liked. I'm intrigued to see kind of how he fits into this defense. Same with Kedrick Golston. 6'2", 220. Got to bulk up the play on the edge in this defense. Zach Groves, kind of where is Zach Groves in terms of his stature, weight, and all that when he gets here on campus? I think some defensive linemen. Hezekiah Harris, since he flipped in from Auburn. Again, some of the latter ones, not necessarily Zach Groves, were coming here to be those Leos. But that Leo position's kind of changing. So I think a lot of those guys got to put on some weight, even more so than what they were already planning to do under the previous defensive regime. But I really do think that somewhere between Darrell Rivers, Jordan Carter, and Carter Gooden, some freshmen on the defensive line are going to help Tennessee for sure. Then you look at linebacker. I love Braden Routes and T.J. White. I think that they're going to be some great players. The unfortunate part for them is they set foot in now a very crowded and veteran-led linebacker room. Amari Campbell was coming here, but then you get back Arion Carter, and you bring back Evan Spillman, Jeremiah T-Lander, Jaden Prelati. Like, it's very crowded. I think on normal years, Braden Routes and T.J. White would get more run at linebacker. I'm curious to see if those two guys will get any PT in this very deep and extended linebacker room for the Volunteers. Anybody else in terms of freshmen to watch out for that could make a difference? Tennessee has needs at safety. Tennessee addressed those needs in the transfer portal, but could a guy like Joel Wyatt, carve out a niche in terms of just trying to be a depth piece potentially? I'm not saying that he plays 20 snaps a game or anything like that, but something more than special teams potentially. Tennessee needs an offensive tackle. You assume Ori Williams is going to have every opportunity to win that battle. Jesse Perry could bump out and play tackle as well. He's already done that, but you best believe that Gabriel Ascend and Kamari Blair, they're coming here ready to compete and play tackle. Those two guys could help out, if not some this year, most likely next year for sure. And then the last one I want to highlight, and I don't think I'm really leaving anybody out. There's a couple of defensive back. I think Zayden Anderson from Greenville can make some noise. Really good athlete. Jamian Theodore is another really underrated guy in this class. But the last one I think I'm going to highlight here is Tyreek King. Going back to wide receiver, Is Joakim Dotson the backup to Braylon Staley? I don't think DeSean Brandon's going to play much wide receiver anymore. He's going to be tight end 2 or tight end 1B along with Ethan Davis. I think Tyreek King, very much a potential in this offense to go and stretch the field. So the local product from Knoxville Catholic. I love this Tennessee signing class. I think there's a lot of hidden gems in here, a lot of potential that's not even close to being reached yet. I mean, obviously these guys are just getting on campus and, they'll get in the strength and conditioning program, a new one, nutrition program, a new one, and get coached up by these guys. I'm excited to see what they can turn into, but I think the conversation when you talk about freshmen who can contribute and help, it obviously starts with Faizon Brandon. Tristen Keys is going to get mentioned. Those defensive linemen are going to get mentioned, and then some of the other guys that I talked about in this segment could potentially help. So Faizon Brandon, if no Joey Aguilar, will this be Faizon Brandon's team? George MacIntyre will have something to say about that, no doubt. And we'll take a look at what that pecking order at quarterback looks like in the rest of the offense. Post-transfer portal offensive depth chart. We'll take a look at that when we return right here on your Friday morning. Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. It's last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, or building the one last same-game parlay, this is the game that everyone has been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays and stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels so much bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff until the final whistle. It's if you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count because after the Super Bowl, man, there's no more football until next fall. Oh, I can't stand that. So last call for football on FanDuel. Take advantage of it now with that great deal. An official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. That is FanDuel.com to get started today. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life this year. TurboTax is making it easier than ever just to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the guesses or the stress. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms and all that nonsense that you don't really understand, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms. Hello, that's where I'm at. And work to get you every deduction possible. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February the 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local, TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. That is TurboTax/local to book your appointment today. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen of the day. Thanks so much for making Locked On, the #1 sports podcasting network available. Go check out that Everydayer Club. $5 a month, ad-free version, audio version of the show. Access to the Locked On merch store, access to the Locked On Everydayer Discord server, which acts as a group chat. $5 Locked On Vols. .supercast.com, LockedOnVols.supercast.com to go ahead and join the Everydayer Club for more Locked On Vols content. Okay, so the offensive depth chart, what's that look like post-spring practice, post-transfer portal cycle, all right? You look at the quarterback position. Obviously, George MacIntyre, he's got the most experience in the room. He's been here for a year. The coaches have a pretty good idea of what they can expect out of him. He knows the offense better than anybody. He would be the perceived front runner, if we will, entering spring, if no Joey Aguilar. Well, we just talked a lot about Faizon Brandon in the last segment. It's going to be a true quarterback competition. Just depending on how things go, I mean, could they play both of them? Tennessee did that in 04 with Eric Ainge and Brent Schaefer. And though Ainge was the better of the two, I mean, it worked out pretty well for him, right? It was two very different quarterbacks, but it worked out really well for Tennessee's offense and Phillip Fulmer that year. I'm not advocating for two quarterbacks. It's that old saying, if you play two, you got none, right? But again, I think if Joey Aguilar would have been injured this year for an extended period of time, I think both Jake Merklinger and George MacIntyre would have played, both of those guys. So we'll just have to see. But, quarterback's undecided right now, plus the Joey Aguilar situation is kind of hanging up in the air. So we'll see what happens there. But that depth chart right now, I'd say George MacIntyre / Faizon Brandon, George MacIntyre's first, obviously, and then Ryan Staub of Colorado would be next. And, Ryan Staub's coming here to try to win the job, but your investment is made in those two young guys, and we'll see what happens there. Look at running back. I think DeSean Bishop, obviously, he's going to lead that room, 1,000-yard rusher here in the Southeastern Conference. I think Javon Gordon of Tulane rushed for over 500 yards, caught a touchdown out of the air, averaged about 5 yards per carry. Came from a backfield where he split carries. I think he would work well in kind of how Tennessee does the running back rotation. And I'm so excited to see about DeJuan Morris. Got his toes wet a little bit. Got some run, no pun intended, later in the season when there's some injuries to Peyton Lewis or Star Thomas. This coaching staff really likes DeJuan Morris. Can he take a step this spring and surpass, really be the back? I mean, he's going to, if they play tomorrow right now, he'd be the second option to DeSean Bishop for sure. But you brought Gordon in here for a reason, not necessarily to be that second option, but to compete to be that second option. And let's not forget, Tennessee plays 3 running backs the majority of the time. So I like those 3, and then you have Justin Baker in that room as well. Tight end. Starts with Ethan Davis. We know tight ends. Tennessee plays multiple tight ends. Starts with Ethan Davis. DeSean Brandon is now the number 2 tight end, but typically if you're in the top 2 tight ends in that depth chart, you're going to play a ton. Tennessee played 3 tight ends a lot because of 12 personnel last year. Is that guy going to be Trent Thomas coming over from South Alabama? By the way, Trent Thomas is, I don't know if it's twin brother. Actually, I think it's his twin brother. He's playing for Kentucky. So that game's going to be huge for Tennessee and Kentucky for the Thomas family. Trent Thomas, primarily a blocking tight end at South Alabama throughout his career. I think he's only caught 5 passes throughout his career. So I could see him being that 12 personnel guy. But again, physical, you got to prove that you can be physical, in line, outside, all that and more. Cole Harris is still in the conversation. He's this will be his 3rd year on campus, but once those 2 freshmen got here last year, and Jack Van Dorselaer, who transferred to Oklahoma, and then of course DeSean Brandon, he moved down the depth chart, but an experienced guy in the system at least. And then you got Luka Wolf coming in this freshman class, probably a redshirt year if I had to guess. Wide receivers, I think on one side you got Mike Matthews. On the other side, I think you got Rodarius Jackson. And in the slot, you got Braylon Staley. I think that's the first flight. Behind those guys, I think Travis Smith's on the outside. Tristen Keys is on the outside. And then probably right now, Joakim Dotson in the slot. That's second string. And then I think third string would be Ian Duarte coming over from the transfer portal. Tyreek King in the slot. And whoever else is left to be on the other side. Again, Tennessee doesn't have much numbers at wide receiver to go 3 deep, but the rotation's not that big. I think obviously outside of Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, and Rodarius Jackson, I think Tennessee could afford to play Travis Smith and Tristen Keys some as well. And Joakim Dotson and or Tyreek King, whoever steps up in that slot position. So that's the skill. What about on the offensive line? Let's start at the center and let's work out. Okay, right now your starting center is Sam Pendleton. I think at times this year he played well. I think Sam Pendleton's got to play better next year. I do think that he was banged up and hobbling along there a lot of the season. He's everything you want in a center. He's smart. I think he's a leader that people look up to, and he gets everybody on the same page. I think that there's another step there for him to take, and the snaps were an issue all season long. But Sam Pendleton's your center. Your backup's probably Nick Moore. What up, Jeff County? And then could Wendell Moy get some center reps this year? I think that could be interesting. Like, does your best 5 incorporate Wendell Moy, who probably is a center at the next level, moving to the inside to play center, moving to the center of the line and playing center? I don't know. That's just something to think about. Like, obviously, Sam Pendleton, there's no reason I think he's not going to be your center next year, but some different things to think about. I think Wendell Moy could be an option there. The guard, speaking of Moy, Wendell Moy on one side, Jesse Perry on the other, okay? Their backups, Shamie Morrow, we know he started half the season, if not more. We know what he's capable of a guard. He's probably the backup on both sides. I think Donovan Haslam, transfer from West Virginia, played a lot at Austin Peay the years before. I think he's also a backup on both sides. I think Anthony Ogmoro, freshman from this past year's class, I think he would be also an option in the interior for Tennessee as well. Let's go to right tackle. I think Ori Williams will have every opportunity to win that job at right tackle coming over from LSU. Jesse Perry's there if he can. Jesse Perry, we know, can play right tackle, but Tennessee's probably at its best with him inside at a guard. I might disagree with that. Everybody says that. Obviously, that's what the coaching staff believes, but I thought Jesse Perry played pretty daggone well out there at right tackle. But Jesse Perry's out there as well. And then I think Donovan Haslam's your swing guy that you can play guard and tackle. Over at left tackle, you have David Sanders, who's going to make the flip from right to left. Jeremiah's Hurd is also still on the roster, practicing a left tackle. And then you got those two freshmen, right? And Jesse Perry, maybe he can flip over and play left if needed. But those two freshmen I talked about in the previous segment, Gabriel Ascenda from Baylor and Kamari Blair, I think those guys, it's so hard to play immediately as true freshmen on the offensive line unless you're just a freak, David Sanders. I think those two guys come in more prepared than most in most years. That doesn't mean they're going to play this year, and that doesn't mean that they can't handle the workload. I just think that they're kind of further along in their development. That's just me. That's what the offensive depth chart looks like, in my opinion. Who's to say if that's right? Spring practice will certainly give us a better look, but post-spring portal offensive depth chart, that's what it looks like here on Locked On Vols. We will keep tabs all spring practice long to see how right or wrong we are. Vols, V-O-L-S, the sign atop the north end zone at Neyland Stadium. It's a fan favorite. We're going to talk to Noah Taylor, Neyland Press Corps, coming up next. Why that is. The Vol letter signs coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. Nate Mint, we continue to bring him up. 26 points in the second half the other night. Getting to the foul line, getting to the charity stripe, finding ways to be efficient. The dude is averaging 23 points in his last 6 games. Rick Barnes calling a play specifically for him that he used to call for Dalton Connect and some of the other greats before them. That's some rare company right there. That goes to show you how well how well Nate Amen is playing right now. Nate Amen is getting back in the conversation to be a lottery pick, and this is why the hype was there coming into Tennessee. He's a freak, and he's playing like it. These remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's the extra work off the court, dialing in every single detail, giving it all that extra fire, the grit, and that I never quit. We put the same passion into every model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Hey, it's Flashback Friday, and we're going to bring on Noah Taylor from Neyland Press Corps, and I thought today we could kind of be a little bit different. We're not going to go and specifically talk about a story that you've written, a specific player or a specific game of Tennessee football history that brings back all the feels and nostalgia and all that. This will bring back nostalgia, and I guess this will bring back feels. But I want to talk about the Vols letters that sit atop the south end zone at Neyland Stadium. You had a tweet a couple of days ago on the Neyland Press Corps account. And you can follow that at Neyland Press _ on the X, and it just kind of wanted me to start this conversation. They came back in 2022, and we'll get to that here in a moment, but they debuted all the way back in 1966, and honestly, Noah, they became a signature look for Tennessee and something that fans of all generations could relate to.
Yeah, the Vol signs, the letters there in the south end zone, I think, are part of what makes Neyland Stadium such a unique venue. It's definitely one of a kind. There's no other team that has done something like that. They debuted in 1966, I believe. Tennessee's season opener was against Rice that year. So, I was kind of flipping some pages here before we started of the 1966 media guide, and they had a whole page dedicated to this, bragging about these are the largest Vols letters in the world, which is funny because it's like who else would do this? But
I don't think those would be in Oxford, Mississippi, or New York City or something. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I don't think they had much competition, but certainly something unique and awesome. And in my personal opinion, I know we did our Festivus thing a while back where I was giving my opinion on everything that nobody cared about. But I think the original look is the best, which right here. Shout out to my buddy David Grimm who made this and gave it to me. Really appreciate it. But this obviously is how they looked when
David, I know you watched this segment, so I would love to have some of those in my backdrop over here. So send those on over, please.
I know. I hope I don't open it. He starts getting a ton of requests all of a sudden because they're very cool. And but yeah, this is awesome. This is how they looked in 1966 for about a decade. They were like this. They even lit up at night. They had the fluorescent lights in them. I like they do today. And then obviously, a decade later in 76. They changed, went with an orange background with white lettering, a little bit similar to what they have now. Stayed that way till I think 1999. They got a new jumbotron on the south end of the stadium. decided to put the letters on top of the Jumbotron. And then 2009 got rid of them altogether, which, I think you could put that on a list of things Tennessee's administration did that made no sense for that decade-long stretch there. But, Danny White put him back up there in 2022. And ironically, Tennessee ended up having an incredible year, won 11 games. So you can say since those things have been back up on the end of the south end of Neyland Stadium, that's kind of where Tennessee's turnaround started here lately.
Yeah, the wins followed, and Tennessee was an Orange Bowl champions that year in 2022, and it's just so weird to say Orange Bowl champions now, like with the playoff. It's just such a weird thing to say, but it's a big deal. It's still a big deal, especially considering where you came from, and yeah. I think that was a direct correlation with putting the Vols letters back up on the stadium. Yeah, Tennessee's admin, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about this, but yeah, made some boneheaded moves at a point in time, trying to get rid of the Lady Vols.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? What are we doing here? The Vols letters, there's been several other things as well, but show us. You said they had the white squares with the orange, borders and the orange letters from 1966 and 1976, I believe. Then they made the switch, kind of did the inverse, and that's kind of what they look like now. Show us what they look like in 76 and kind of what they look like now.
Yeah, 76.
I think you've got it sitting beside you, don't you?
Well, I've got this one. It's got the more modern look.
Okay.
The letters were a little bit thinner with the orange backdrop in the 70s there up until, I guess, 99. You see the famous shot of the win against Florida, the CBS camera panning around and the fireworks going off across the river on the south end after Collins Cooper misses the game-tying field goal in overtime there, and Tennessee wins that game in 98. You get the shot there of the Vol signs, and I think that it would have been nice to see them come back with the white, but I'm not going to complain because I think them being there together just looks great. I wasn't sure, when they came out and they said they were bringing them back. I remember that day. It was against Vanderbilt, the final home game of the 2021 season, and there was a timeout, and they showed it on the scoreboard, showed a highlight reel of the Vol signs, kind of throughout, history, and I think it said something like coming soon, and that was awesome. A lot of people got hyped over that. I wasn't really sure what they were going to do. I thought, they're going to put them back on top of the scoreboard. Are they going to move them down to the north end maybe and put them on top of the roof there? And wasn't really sure what it would look like with the two on each side, but it's undeniable that it looks incredible. And it's been an incredible addition to Neyland Stadium. And I remember a couple of years ago after they had them, me and Ryan Sylvia, when we were at Vol Report, we're talking about, we kind of, this is kind of random, but we would kind of go out of our way to pick pictures for stories that had them in the background, because it just made every photo look 10 times more epic. Yeah. One I used the heck out of anytime I wrote about Jalen Hyatt in 2022. I think it was against UConn when they had the Summit blue accents and he's pointing to the sky and he got him in the background. So it's been an incredible addition to the stadium, and one of those things, I'll complain about it again, or not really a complaint, but I really hope we see more traditional things return, and I won't go into that again, but hopefully in the uniform department, we'll see some things come back that'll stay permanently.
Oh, get off my lawn. That's kind of what this segment is, but I like it. I like a whole lot of it. Football the way it should be played, the way it used to be played. Why is something so simple as letters on a stadium? I mean, why do the fans of all generations, dating back to the 60s all the way to our current fans right now in this decade, I mean, why does it mean so much? What was the drawing factor back then? And then they were there for so long, and then you took them away. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, you got to bring them back. I get that, but I guess what was the appeal? What made it just so signature with Tennessee fandom, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those unique things, like we said earlier. I can't think of anybody else that has them, and obviously there's so many things unique about Neyland Stadium. But you got the checkerboards. Well, a lot of teams played with checkerboard end zones, and so those aren't incredibly unique to Tennessee. But the Vol signs are just something completely different, and I don't know what it is, but for me, and I think it's my Twitter header right now is a picture from the 1967 season with the Vol sign. So. And then that one the other day it was a pretty popular post, in terms of things we've posted. I think got over 1,000 likes on Instagram. So
yeah,
people love them. I think it just goes back to Tennessee being a unique place. And, sometimes I was actually doing this last night. I was going through, some other schools' media guides just for fun, because that's a weird thing I do back in, some 70s, 60s, just to kind of look at them. And it's kind of funny, just nothing's really changed in terms of Tennessee just putting so much into marketing, putting so much into a brand. Because you look at Tennessee stuff, and I'm holding one right here. Here's another picture of the Vol signs here. This is a 67 game program. I think Tennessee's still like that as an athletic department. I think that they put a lot of effort into stuff. You see it in highlight clips. You see it in uniform reveals. They're just in it. I don't think that's something that just started overnight. I think the program's always been. You look at the Vol Network. You look at VFL Films. You look at John Ward and the coaches shows they had. The Bill Battle show, the Doug Dickey show, Johnny Major show. They're just Tennessee's always been unique in that way, and I think an innovator in a lot of things. And I think these signs or these letters at Neyland Stadium are kind of a good example, an early example of that. But I think Tennessee's always been top notch in doing new things, and I think that's one reason fans love the tradition of it. And I just think it's a unique place. It's an awesome place, and I guess I can say that now as a non-biased reporter or whatever. But yeah, it's a really unique place, and I think these letters are something really cool, incredibly cool, and I think it's great they're back.
Whatever that first, because they opened up on Thursday night in 22. Whatever that first Saturday was, maybe it's like an ETSU or whatever non-con game there that next Saturday. I remember I was walking in, and I'm so bad with garage. I've covered Tennessee for almost 10 years. And I'm so bad with garages, but I was walking over one of those garages to where gate 15A is, where we kind of go in, and I saw you see the south side of the stadium, and I saw the letters, and it was a gorgeous day. There was a couple of clouds, spotty, but just sun's out, and I just took my phone out there and I took a picture. And goodness gracious, iPhone's incredible. I'm like, this is a phenomenal picture. I've used that picture so many times, and it was like one of the first pictures, obviously not first pictures of them, but just kind of the first wave of pictures when the Vols letters came back. So, I love looking at old pictures. You always got to find that line of what's innovation. You got to innovate. You got to evolve. You're going to be left behind, but you don't want to take away from what makes everything so special and everything. I'm looking at a picture of Neyland Stadium on your header right now, and those are classrooms. Those are dormitories there, and they're still there. You just don't see them anymore because they've done a wraparound. And what Danny White has done and his administration and some of the things that were put in place before he got here. But I think the game day, and this isn't a prop up Danny White segment, but because everybody can have their opinion about him, but the game day experience I think has been top notch outside of the traffic fiasco this year. But the Wi-Fi project, the Vol letters, the light show, the drone show, it's truly, it's like you only get 7-8 of these a year.
Yeah.
And you got to go all out. And I think that's one thing that this administration has done so well is the game day experience. Now, got to figure out parking for football and for basketball. That's been an issue this year specifically, but I think that's been great. And, of course, the Vol letters are a part of that. Noah, we got to run, but thanks so much for this impromptu discussion about the VOLS letters on the south side of the stadium. I think it's something that everybody loves, and obviously there's those pictures you were referencing. They make them all better. When you get those Vol letters up there, they make any picture better. Yeah,
Eric, I appreciate having me on. I'll say one more thing, and I'll shut up for good.
Okay.
Talking about the experience and things at Neyland Stadium, I think it's also incredible that the champions there in the southwest corner that they'll have here coming this next season, also a great addition to honor the past. So my only thing would be let's throw some Bowden Wyatt love in there, because I think Tennessee should recognize the 1956 national champions, which is officially recognized by the NCAA. So I would like Danny White to throw that in there as well. But I think that's a great addition to the stadium as well.
That petition is going to be going around on Neyland Press Corps' Monday edition coming up this week. All right, Noah Taylor, we'll check out your Substack. We'll follow your work at volquest.com and every other place, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate it, Eric. Thank you for having me on, man.
Great conversation there with Noah Taylor, Neyland Press Corps, talking about the VOLS Vols letters at the top of Neyland Stadium in the south end zone. Fun stuff, and it's a fan favorite. It's kind of cool to talk about and how it came about and what they look like over the years when it went away. And when it came back, a whole lot of wins have fallen back, but Nonetheless, always enjoy catching up with Noah Taylor for a little bit of Flashback Friday right here on Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. I plan on putting out another episode later this afternoon. Going to catch up with Lance Daw of Locked On Kentucky, preview Tennessee and Kentucky. Will the Vols blow another 17-point lead? You hope not. Tennessee needs some revenge in Rupp tomorrow against Kentucky. Can Tennessee stay red hot? We'll discuss it with a little bonus content on a Friday afternoon with Lance Daw of Locked On Kentucky. That's coming up later here today. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Appreciate you guys as always. This is Locked On Vols.